Hello and welcome back to what I wished I'd known when I first started self-publishing, or its variations thereof. Hi, I'm Karlie with Dragon Key Press, and I want to do a little bit of real talk today. I'm going to intersperse some real talk here and there between the different other episodes and might use them instead of other episodes down the road, but I figured it was probably a good time to put this one out there. I've tried to kind of rehearse this over in my head, and I usually like to at least have some kind of form of written script so I don't go off track, but today I'm going totally freestyle. So, if I'm scattered, that is why. Now, I know that a lot of you out there have probably listened to my episodes and thought to yourself, oh my great googly moogly. This is a lot of information, and it is super over my head and technical, and what in tarnation am I listening to? You know what? It's okay. I get it. Whenever I talk about self-publishing with my family or friends, and most of them don't understand the whole process to begin with, I see their eyes glaze over when they realize just how much goes into it and just how technical it can become. And I have to remind myself to rein back and kind of try and make it as simple as possible. And even when I go on the absolute basics, their eyes just kind of look at me like, oh my great gator. It is just crazy sauce amount of information. So if you feel overwhelmed by any of this, no, you're not alone, because this is a lot. Even a single episode is a lot of information. You may get a lot of terms, a lot of those abbreviations, like the ISBNs and all those others. It's a lot. So don't feel bad if it does indeed overwhelm you, because it overwhelmed me when I first started all of this, and it sometimes overwhelms me even now. So you're not alone. But I did want to let you know that I am trying to make things as simple as possible for you. When I started, I had absolutely no clue and no one to point me in the right direction. I knew that there were people out there who self-published, and a lot of them were from vanity presses, and I kind of had that idea of the stigma of self-publishing is just not the way to go. But after being rejected by traditional publishers, I decided, you know what, my work needs to be heard, so I went and I taught myself. So me doing all this is me trying to help those who didn't have that kind of mentorship or need that mentorship and aren't as stubborn as I maybe to have that information that I wished I'd had when I first started all of this process. Because it was a serious uphill battle. I had a bit of a support group in some Facebook groups, and that was wonderful, but I'm the kind of person who doesn't like to ask questions because, you know, I'm stubborn like that. I like to kind of look and see if I can figure it out on my own, and I probably went about it the long, hard way. So if I can help you figure it out in a simpler way, by all means, I hope it is helpful. But I have taken almost 10 years to get to the point where I am now, and my first few self-published books were horrible. The editing really needed help, the covers were subpar, and I've had some help here and there since then with a few friends and fellow writers and self-publishers in figuring things out, but most of it I've looked up on my own. So now that I've got an idea of how it really should work, it's a lot better. And once you get an idea how it will work for you, things will go a lot smoother now. Just because everything feels like it's over your head, complicated, confusing, and potentially impossible right now, it doesn't mean that it will continue to be that way in the future. Just go back, review, write down notes, ask questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions if you want to put them in as comments to any of the videos. I do try to check them. Probably not as often as I should, but I do try to check for comments. You can also write to me. My email address is on my website at karlielucas.com. And I'm more than happy to give whatever help I can give within reason. After all, being a writer and a self-publisher is a full-time job, and it's not the only thing I do on top of that. And I'm not going to go into that because it might make your heads really spin, because I'm just that crazy and I just can't seem to tell myself to slow down and not do 50 million projects at the same time. But for your sakes, I do suggest you kind of slow down, take a step back, see what information is already presented to you, evaluate it, review it over and over again, and do your own research. Because, I'm not the world's biggest expert on self-publishing, but I am trying to impart to you the basics of what you need to know to get started on everything. But remember, this is a perpetually learning experience, and you have to find out how it works best for you. I'm still working on finding some of the ways that work best for me because I am branching out in different areas. The whole picture book thing is relatively new compared to the novel writing, and I'm still learning how to properly format and cover design and everything else so it appeals to the right audience. And it's probably going to constantly evolve how I do things, just like the industry is going to constantly evolve. But the basics will, for the most part, stay the same. Because, hey, they're basics. Just remember, breathe. Take it one step at a time, sit back, mull over the information. If you need to go back and review, go ahead and do it. Eventually it will click, and if it doesn't, then just keep trying to go maybe the traditional route or ask somebody else for a different insight, because everybody sees things through a different perspective, and this is all being shared through my perspective. So if my perspective doesn't work for you, maybe somebody else's will. Just go for what works best for you. And remember that even though there are rules, there is no one perfect way to make it work. So just find what sings for you and you'll do great. Don't let people tell you you can't do it. Don't let them convince you it's just a hobby or a passing fad. Because if you are serious about this, you need to get down and treat it seriously. Because this is a business. This is a potential career. And it is a potential life-changing thing in your life. So make sure that you have considered these things seriously before you keep going. And if you find that you're still intrigued or just want to know more, or that you get excited about the challenge, by all means, keep listening, because I would love to have you keep listening. But I want you to do it the best way for you. And if that means you find somebody else to give you the information, then so be it. But again, I am available. I do read comments and emails. So if you feel a need to reach out or ask questions, do it. I may not get back to it immediately because, hey, I'm a busy woman, but I will get back to you. And if this helps resolve any doubts you may have had about the whole, am I really prepared to do this? Do I really want to do this? Then huzzah! Wonderful, awesome. Godspeed, and I wish you luck, regardless of which direction you choose to go with this. But I do hope you keep pushing forward, no matter how hard or difficult the process may seem right now, because it will not always seem that way. Somewhere down the road, it will become second nature, and you won't even have to think about it. And the most pesky part will be trying to figure out the small formatting errors that suddenly pop up and you're like, why Microsoft Word or something like that. And then you'll figure it out and you'll feel like you've conquered Mount Everest. Believe me when I say, there is no feeling in the world like holding that first print copy of your book in your hands. It is glorious. It is wonderful because it is something you created. Something you gave birth to in your mind and put down on paper or on a computer or wherever, and then had put into a physical form. This is your baby. And I want you to be proud of it. Again, reach out if you have questions, comments, or so forth, and I'll do my best. But I hope you will continue on. Keep plugging forward, because it is worth it. I'm Karlie with Dragon Key Press, and I hope you'll stay with us.